Okay, it is 6 p.m. and I am opening the February 7th, 2023 meeting of the Rutland Conservation Commission. Present in the room are all members: Peter Crane, Melissa Danza, Jared Gentilucci, Skip Clark, Scott Langren, and Joe Delaquila. Nobody remote. We are on Zoom. We are being recorded. This will be rebroadcast on local TV and will be on YouTube in time. That's I think all the announcements I need to do. Let me share the screen so I can bring up. All right, I actually got the agenda first. How about that? Meeting minutes. Meeting minutes from the last meeting. That's right, somebody wasn't here. Somebody decided to be far away.
No, I was working. I wasn't far away. I wasn't far away last week.
Oh, that's right. It was during the site walk that you were far away. That's right.
Yeah.
I know, excitement galore. I'm sorry? Of course I read them. I read them when I opened them.
So why did you get an motion?
Hey, look, see, what surprised me is it took Skip that long to make his motion. Discussion. Discussions, corrections, anything?
Did you get a second?
Yes.
Right. I gotta get my hearing aids.
Scott, we are recording, right, Paul? No? I'm going to suspend the meeting for just a moment. So having moved and seconded, roll call for minutes. Oh, I'm unsuspending. I'm resuming the meeting.
Delaquila, aye.
Langren, aye.
Clock eye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Dan's abstain.
Crane, aye. Have to be different.
So there's many people waiting. There's people
Oh,
waiting.
2 people. For us, that is many.
Yes, it is.
What was I going to do?
Should I be concerned?
You should be. Nope, we're not muted. Although they can probably hear me best and you second best and them not very much, because this is it for mics. I didn't think about setting up.
Oh.
Shame on me. Ah.
Next slide.
Next slide.
All right, so I'm going to open a hearing for CB Blair Development at 311 Pleasantdale Road. There will be no presence by the applicant today. He has decided to revise the plan. There's not a lot we can discuss other than saying, just a second. There it is. Yeah, there's this here stream that sure looked perennial to me and is marked as perennial, right, Jared?
Yes.
Who had that? Was that Mass Mapper or which database was that?
Mass Mapper.
Okay.
Yeah, it came up multiple times as perennial.
Okay. And that complicates this entire project. We have been told he will return on the next meeting. It's the 17th.
21st.
21st, thank you. Me, confused? No, it doesn't happen. So we will actually get the formal presentation and we'll consider action, but we won't consider tonight. But if anyone present has comments, let's start with the commission. Anybody have anything to say about this right now? I know it's hard to have comments when we don't have the real plan. But knowing what we know, if anybody has comments, questions, whatever we want to do. Nope. Anyone from the public, questions or comments?
We'll wait for the presentation.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think the revised responses to Mass DEP comments will be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yes.
Derek, I agreed with DEP's comments.
Yep.
Pretty much from beginning to end.
Tamika, did he submit additional funds yet?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yep, that's squared away.
Perfect.
For the public record, this lot was created in 1997, and so all the current regulations apply. There were regulations that applied up through August something 1996, but this lot does not have any of that. You could actually go much closer to the river. You could do, and there were exemptions for single-family houses within 100 feet there. That exemption is gone in the current regulations. So we'll have more discussions next week, the next meeting, excuse me. So if there's nothing else on it, I will take a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Second.
6 p.m., right?
Correct.
We have a discussion. Roll call.
Dan's eye.
James Lucci, aye. Clock, aye.
Ryan Grant.
Elko, aye.
Green eye. How's that for simple?
I gotta go find Cecilia.
Yes, go to your other meeting. See if we care.
Go to your,
fine.
go to your
We
second
don't-
family. Your second family.
Third
My favorite.
family.
I'll always be number one.
Alrighty, let's go back to our friendly agenda. Oh, well, look, I wrote the thing. So, I got an email from Joe Buckley a while ago. You'll see it in just a minute. The project widening Route 56 is destroying the parking for the ball field.
Yeah.
That is a fact. It's what's going to happen. So Joe has been coming up with ways to deal with that. So let's start with the email all the way at the top. DPW is working on a plan to add a driveway just to the north of Marsh Field. Pending road project, the Route 56 project. Does two things of concern: eliminates all the parking on Pommogussett Road, and the project will generate a significant volume of fill from drainage work, retaining walls, grading, etc. They want to take the fill and use it to develop a driveway that goes to the back of the field, where there's actually a clear space back there where they will make that the parking lot. Field is 20 plus feet above the elevation of the town land to the north. So he's got 20 feet of fill. Probably would not be worth it if they had to do it themselves, but by taking spoils from all the work the state's going to do, it actually makes it feasible. What a surprise, there's no budget for this in DPW. He'll do it as time allows, etc., etc. They of course will have to take down some trees and start roughing out the road, but they do have boundary surveys. Having been at Marshfield, I know all too much about, well, I don't know everything about, but I've seen the pipes that drain right into that little, I suppose that's a stream. So not only is there that, there is also, Joe has sent a drawing, very rough obviously, but we have the ball field with the snack shack and the shed with the batting cages in between. There is this river that runs here, so they're talking about putting the ball field, the road, pretty close to the edge of the property. And planned to come pretty much straight back and then into this flat area here. Now, I didn't say Joe could not be here tonight. He's happy to come anytime we want to discuss it with him. Now, having said that, this is the aerial photo of the area. Where are you, cursor? Yeah, wait a minute.
No, just go.
Yeah, it's this
you're
one.
right
To the left.
there. Across
Right
the
there.
street, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's Memorial
The one
Field.
looks like a baseball field.
You mean like this one? That looks like a baseball field?
That little diamond shaped thing.
How long have you lived here?
Not long enough, obviously. So if this is the property line, they're talking about putting the road here-ish to come back into this area, which frankly is already used for a parking lot for a lot of the coaches and some of the players. I actually think it can be a little dangerous when you get a serious hitter. Funny story, I was coaching, well, assistant coaching in Delaware when one of our teams went to the World League, to the Big League World Series. And guess whose car got a window smashed by a baseball that flew around the nets? What fun! In any event, that fortunately is not my problem. So there is, I mean, it's a lot of fill. And the other thing to note is I think it's only 2 crossings, although this is damn close to a crossing. They need to be careful about how they align. Oh no, that's topo, sorry.
I don't think any wetlands are showing.
Wetlands aren't showing. So there is no question.
Property to the north, they came in front of us not that long ago, right? Wasn't there a house being built?
I think that was a little further up. That was actually that was right at the connection with Miles.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And that's not very far away, but it's
A little bit to the north, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get my bearings here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's way more than 100 feet away from those.
Yeah, but there are certain to be wetlands up here for the 1 or 2 streams that are here. Yeah, because there's one here that he's going to cross. And I'm sure there's another one that I'm just going colorblind today.
There are 3 blue lines showing there, Peter.
Yep. Yeah, I would think there's one here, one
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and one here.
It would be a great asset for the town if they could get the cars off the streets anyway. In my, you know.
I've never been thrilled with the kids running behind their cars right along the roadway. I agree that it would improve the safety there quite a bit. Especially if they could rehab that parking area.
Do we know those blue lines are streams?
I don't think they are.
I mean, there's a ton of drainage that goes through there.
I'm not seeing
Right.
anything on Mass GIS.
Yeah, there's a ton of drainage pipes under that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I haven't looked that closely.
I mean, in my opinion, kind of no matter what is, it's a great asset to get our material for nothing.
Yeah,
And you know what, it's one of those, okay, guess what, it's gonna take time, but you know what? You say yes,
Let it.
why wouldn't you?
I think we need to pay particular attention to, well, we need to figure out to our best degree where the streams are. So that,
I don't think there's any there, honestly.
well,
I don't think you see them, put it that way.
I don't think there's a street.
The only thing I'm seeing potentially is that along the west property line.
Yeah, there's stuff, there's one out back.
And that's showing up as a linear wetland feature. Could be an intermittent stream. It's not showing up on.
There's
the
a,
streams
there's a
data.
bunch of drainage off 56 that goes way out back
these
there.
could all be swales. I have seen stuff that is probably road drainage that
It
goes
is.
right up
Well, they
here
had a problem in
somewhere.
the spring because they had to clean it all off because they had one of them collapse. And
Right.
that's all out in that same area.
And there is, by the way,
That's like a 36.
stormwater that runs
So there you go,
from
there's your-
DPW down into this area to get out. I don't know
Right.
where it is exactly on this, but I know it's around.
Right.
Because at the far side, I mean, if you follow this thing that looks too much like a road, because it used to be,
It used to be.
then, and then you come up here, you're in the DPW yard.
Yeah, something runs right along that lot line.
That line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one that's kind of Northwest, southeast line, yeah.
And in fact, Joe did rehab on all those stormwater structures within the last 3 years.
Yeah, I see that too.
There. So maybe it is stream.
This, I believe, is what runs behind the houses on the left side of Miles Road as you go down Miles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it ends up running down towards, Dr. Ayers' house there, down there pond.
Right.
So we need that, we need the evaluation to figure out wetlands and therefore jurisdiction and crossings, whether they're just simple culverts, I don't know, but we need to have something to make sure the water flow doesn't get
Can we
interrupted.
set up a sidewalk with Joe? And actually physically go out and take a look?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's sooner than, I mean, especially with no snow on the ground and no vegetation, no nothing.
I don't know, it's gonna snow on Friday night, right? It.
I thought we were supposed to get
Snow
some
and
rain
rain
snow
tonight.
tonight.
Yeah, it's supposed to be ice tonight.
Oh, fun.
So, anyway, yes, I would like that very much. I will, I'll talk to Joe to see when he would like to do a site walk, because we definitely, yes. To answer the direct question, yes, we absolutely want to do a walk here.
Yep.
Because sure, as somebody just watching the baseball games, hey, look, there's water, neat, which is very different
Well, the
from,
bonus too is if we can figure this out and give it a green light, most likely the contractor's doing 56, will do a lot of work while they're doing it, because they want to
Yeah.
get rid of dirt. It's cheaper for them, it's cheaper for them to help put that road in than it is for them to haul dirt out of town.
the other question, and see, I suspect they're just going to bank
Yep.
the road, I suspect they're not gonna build a wall because they don't have a budget.
Right.
So we need to understand the implications of that also. I'm not saying anything more than we need to understand.
I don't know that they're gonna need much bank.
That's a deep drop. That's a pretty deep
It's
drop.
20 feet-ish.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
But I thought that was in back.
No.
I'm not.
No, it's
No,
20 feet.
It drops like, it drops.
8 feet off this roadway, it's
Yep.
20 feet down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even there, I know up here it is.
Yep. Oh, down there is.
So again,
Thought maybe that's why he moved it that far down.
No.
to
No,
make some of
he
that.
moved it that far down for, I think, line of sight and easier access off.
right. So,
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. Could easily hide somebody in there.
All right.
Several somebodies.
Melissa.
that's just a hint for the future.
I'm being killed off.
No,
Okay.
we're expecting you to kill someone.
Oh, that
And to hide
switched
the
pretty
body.
quickly.
Even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah, which would you prefer?
I don't know.
Oh, Melissa, look how we made that go. Now they're all against you. I like it.
Am
I
what do you
good?
mean against? That's pro.
Am I good?
Okay, I'm not condoning murder. I just want that for the record.
Rookie.
A friend will help you move. A good friend will help you move a body.
So, I will invite Joe to the next meeting. We'll have a discussion, and I will start the discussion about when he can support a site walk.
Why not ask him ahead of time? 2 weeks away, you know?
Oh, I know, I will ask him very soon. I'm not gonna I'm gonna start now so that we know what we're going to do and how we're gonna discuss it at the next meeting. I'm not saying wait 2 weeks to figure out when the site walk is. It might have sounded that way. Fine. Okay, anything else on this? Questions, comments? All right, let's close down that. And that. And next on our agenda, the job description. How are we doing on that, Melissa?
I don't know, you guys had it last time.
We did, we had lots of notes.
I didn't have any. I don't know. I didn't get any.
They're in the recording.
I did not watch them.
Voice notes.
Voice notes.
You had the Word doc, you
It's-
didn't edit it as
It's
you go?
bad enough when she has to show up and talk to us. She's not gonna listen to a recording of us.
Yeah, no.
I mean.
I'm not, sorry. Not in this
I mean-
instance. Another meeting maybe, but not that time.
So not to discourage anybody or anything,
Mhm.
but did you watch any of that last finance meeting, the first one we had? That was
Oh,
up there?
I watched a bit.
Oh, how broke?
Some, not all of it.
How broke are we?
Oh, we're very.
So it's,
Oh, I understand, but there are emotions I have to go through. I have to make our case.
You at least want it on the docket.
Well, put it this way,
Exactly.
even that, just to get the permission to have the
spot, doesn't mean it has to be funded.
Yep.
Let's create the spot.
Right.
Or at least the
Eventually you-
conversation of
eventually
this is a
you
need,
fill it.
this is a
Yeah,
need,
right,
this is a need.
Right.
Much like we do with the town administrator, say.
I think you should go
Yeah.
for that, Peter, you should get paid.
No one wants that job. No one.
And they can't afford me.
Well, now, I don't know about that, Peter.
Skip?
But I see what they're looking for money for that guy. Unreal.
No, you can't afford me.
Well, if you work cheaper,
Because
we'll have the money.
there's the amount of money I get paid right now, and there's the amount of money I would need to be as the town administrator. That's an adder, that's not a
Right,
subtractor.
There's a
if you-
premium for that.
Yeah,
But if you took the pay cut, maybe we would have enough money for conservation agent.
yeah.
See? That's thinking outside the box.
Actually, even that.
And as the town administrator, I have to say, screw you guys.
Which you can.
I would report you to the select board.
All right, let me ask the serious question. Who's going to do the updates based on, at least?
I'll do it,
All right, fine,
but only listening to that section.
fine.
Okay.
That's only 47 minutes, so.
Is it really?
No, I'm making it up.
He's messing with
38.
Sounds more likely.
No, actually, it went really good.
You know,
It did go well. I mean, we did it fairly fast.
Yeah.
We did have a lot of little notes, not a lot of big notes.
Okay.
And I actually mentioned you a couple times, she's chuckling, going, she's gonna love this.
Yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure. I'll laugh to
Jared
myself.
led that band.
Thank God.
All right, so we'll continue that next time. Wetlands bylaw and regulations. So, how much work have I done? 0.
Perfect.
But last time I had things based upon what you said, so let's just. Find my cursor again. Scroll. So, one of the big issues that we had was definitions. So to try and simplify things, we have jurisdictional area, which is any resource area and any buffer zone. And a resource area are any area subject to protection under General Laws, Chapter 31, Section 40, which has that long list of the actual resource areas. And the regs, 310 CMR 10, just presents that exact same information in a different way, table formatted, but I don't care. So that no person shall alter any jurisdictional area, as defined there, except as provided in this article or permitted by the commission. Or perhaps permitted by the commission. And there we are. Those were the changes. I just wanted to make sure that you were on board with those before I started charging forward with some more. If we don't get the definitions right, the rest of it doesn't matter. Really.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice this thing with 3 arrows. It's a question that I have about how we want to define the buffer zone. Land adjoining any jurisdictional area excepting riverfront area. And then we have this whole question. I have the question about habitats of rare wildlife because that's something specific that's in general laws for a distance of 100 feet from said jurisdictional area. So everything except riverfront has 100 feet buffer zone and riverfront has none because that's the way it's written.
And just so you know,
Mhm.
that when you add this, it also is stating 100-foot buffer zone to floodplain as well.
Should we not include that?
It's up to you. It's
I mean,
up to- it's up to us.
Floodplain doesn't have a buffer zone.
Correct. But some local bylaws do.
Do they really?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
some,
okay.
Sulphur does.
Interesting.
But
So,
why do you even need something that's already
because
defined by the state?
because we are completely eliminating the state law and state regs and
No.
replacing, yes, we are.
No, we are
No, you
not.
can't.
This is in addition to.
Yeah,
Well,
No,
hold on.
this is in addition to.
both would still be applicable.
Yes, both, you are
Oh,
issuing.
then we have a problem from much earlier. Enacted under, this is taken straight out of a couple of them. This article is
Right.
independent of.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
So if it's dependent of, it's not in addition to.
It is in addition
It's
to.
in addition to.
Because you're
Okay.
issuing one permit under two sets of regulations. So we can still issue only one order of conditions, but we're issuing the permit under Wetlands Protection Act and our local bylaw. So in no way can we delete Wetlands Protection Act. This is just basically the more restrictive town regulations.
Still a rule of thumb,
Then
you
is
can
it
only make
really-
the state law stricter.
Correct, yeah.
Then is it really independent of?
Well, it is, because the state takes no,
What does the model bylaw say?
I don't remember which ones I took this from, because I know I've looked at a series of them when I composed this authority section.
the state would not have any jurisdiction over it, that's why it's independent.
God, I haven't looked at this model in so long.
See, all I'm saying is, anything already reiterated by state law, we don't have to put it in our bylaw.
Right, well, that's why I've been referencing the law and the regs as we run across them, to just say, use those definitions over there, it's all fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I think me and Jared were talking about with the definitions, because we don't want the same words to have different definitions
Yep.
within our bylaw.
Sure.
Because they
We're
are,
talking about resource area.
And jurisdictional
Jurisdictional
area,
area, yeah, and I think we've got those pretty.
Right, and now I think those are straightened out.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I feel like saying independent is okay.
I think so, because it is independent.
Yeah, it's a separate set of requirements, separate from the wetlands regulations and act. But both are still applicable.
Is that the MAC model?
This,
Right.
yeah, this is independent of the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations they're under. So yeah, it's,
I've had a number of projects in local towns that have a bylaw, and the order of conditions references the state requirements, state regulations, and their local bylaw. And sometimes I think they'll have a DEP number. Sometimes the towns also do their own file number. I know
Yeah.
Worcester does that. I'm trying to think other towns that do. I think other towns do that too.
Yeah.
maybe.
because so the change is when we have a local bylaw, we place the legal ad under Wetlands Protection Act and our local bylaw. So we only can, or we only can, but we could only issue one order of condition that encompasses both still.
Okay.
Because there's the section in the order that says, is a local bylaw applicable? That was when we would check yes, we'd cite the regulations of the whatever, performance standards.
Yeah.
And actually, I just thought of something else. In saying independent, I think is also okay because this doesn't happen often, but some towns and cities might have a local bylaw or ordinance where you're not actually subject to state regulations, but you're subject to local, and you still have to file locally. That happens a lot in Worcester because of their local ordinance. It picks up a lot of projects that are not near wetlands, but you still have to file an NOI with Concom.
Because like usually when you add isolated wetlands as resource areas, that would just be under local, so they would apply only under local. So then the legal ad, we would only have to cite that we're having a hearing under our local bylaw. We can still use the order of conditions form. We just would have to give it a number, which I usually do like FY, 22-1 or whatever.
So, back to the question that raised to the, well, there are two questions, but let's go back to this one first.
So the question about habitats, this is in relation to buffer zone?
You know, well, actually, I want to back up even before that, which is, so accepting riverfront area, do we want to regulate within 100 feet of a floodplain? What does this commission think about that?
within 100 feet of what?
Floodplain.
Floodplain.
That's a good question.
It's worthwhile asking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Typically, I found that it hasn't caused additional undue burden because typically the wetlands and the floodplain do overlap. Sometimes the
Frequent,
BBW goes farther than the floodplain, sometimes the floodplain goes farther than the BBW, but typically not by many feet because it's usually a cliff or a ledge that stops it from the elevation. So I think it's useful. It helps with storage.
How much of how much floodplain is there in Rutland?
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm
Let's
not sure
see.
there's a lot.
Hold on, let's go.
What are you gonna use to map that?
Mass mapper.
There's quite a bit of floodplain down.
Good
Yeah.
FEMA too.
Yeah, Scott's
I
house
mean,
is
my
in,
house is in floodplain.
Yeah.
but mine
According to
isn't.
a map.
But mine
Yeah,
isn't.
it's insane. Mine across the street from you is.
All right, where do we find, since I pulled it up here so people can see it, what, how do you find flood?
Just search it.
Type in under the magnifying glass up there in the top.
Oh,
Type in FEMA, F-E-M-A, and then go to the one that says FEMA National Flood Hazard Layer Polygons.
I'm sorry, you think I can read that?
Yeah, second to last one on the list.
Thank you, that one I can find. Oh, there we go.
So those just popped up.
And a couple of them popped up down here, but nothing in the town.
Nope,
Let me just scroll all the way up.
nothing.
Hmm.
And this GIS layer includes, so, sorry, I'm collecting my thoughts here. The land subject to flooding is equivalent to the 100-year floodplain, which is Zone A and Zone AE. There's also 500-year floodplain, which is identified by FEMA, but 500-year floodplain would not be jurisdictional.
Skip, have you ever seen a 500-year flood?
No, I couldn't reach that one yet. Working toward it though.
I had to ask for a friend.
So I guess if we have no floodplain, well, it doesn't make a
What's the point?
difference. I would feel more strongly, I guess, about isolated wetlands on a case-by-case basis.
Ain't nobody around to know it.
I have language that, so not necessarily,
That was
it's
every single.
protected by default, but the commission reserves the right to review isolated to determine if it's beneficial or not. And most of the time, they kind of suck.
Well, you're a part of an isolated wetland, and sometimes you get the habitat with it.
Yeah.
Could be.
But there's also, yeah, and you can also kind of use that as, okay, if they want to use maybe this, small isolated area to fill, sometimes you can get a little bit additional mitigation out of it to say, okay, we found, that doesn't have any vernal pool habitat, it's not necessarily useful, so you can fill it, but we get, more protected space over here, or something like that.
So,
I was just pulling up knowledge. So 500-year flood,
Yeah.
1523 would be the year, just a 500-year span.
Perfect, so
So
tomorrow.
So let's put a regulation in
Okay.
now. You know imagine how bad we can screw people up 500 years from now? We're gonna call it the Danza.
dance a rule.
The Danza rule. I want to moralize.
Okay, so now back to the question that really started this whole thing. Do we want to include habitats for rare wildlife as having a buffer zone?
Can we?
I don't think so.
I don't know if we can.
I don't think we can.
I don't think we should.
Well, first of all, why couldn't we?
Because it's not a resource.
It's an interest of the Wetlands Protection Act, but it's not a resource area in and of itself. I don't think. So I'm not sure you can put a buffer on it. Like, how would you define the limits of
Well,
habitat?
that's a hard problem.
right?
No, there's a map.
And
There's
natural
a
heritage.
natural heritage
Yeah.
map.
Well, so that's endangered species. We're just talking about wildlife habitat, right?
No, there's
So if you came over to my place,
estimated.
the beaver builds the dam a little higher, okay? As that moves the wetlands further into my hayfields, is that gonna be considered wildlife habitat? because the beavers are there and they're up in there chopping trees down,
Well, the fast answer is that the habitat is where they live,
Yeah.
and any wetlands that are extended are not part of their habitat per se, I wouldn't think. But there could be definitional questions. I'm just sort of spouting off without knowing enough.
I think we can probably, if we want to further protect wildlife habitat, we could make it stronger in our general performance standards for resource areas. So we could kind of more solidly request or base findings off the believed impact to estimated or priority habitat areas. That's, I think, typically how I see it.
I'm fine.
I can, but that.
How would you define the habitat though?
It would have to be
Because you're going beyond.
biologist or something.
You're going beyond what natural heritage is gonna give you.
No, I'm using that layer. So you can still use that map layer, because there's priority and
Well,
estimated.
then they fall under natural heritage. Yeah.
But as an interest though, so it's already an interest of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Mhm.
So we can, because it's really only applicable when you do excessive wetland fill or in riverfront, we can then require or allow us to have wildlife habitat as part of our review on other resource areas as well, instead of just when
Okay,
there's
but-
fill or riverfront.
All right, so in order to do that then, you have to engage a professional.
Mhm.
And that's gonna cost. So I think you have to put that in there, saying that the applicant shall be responsible for the cost of
Well, yeah.
establishment of
Because
this.
if it's part of, right, the requirements of the application, then it's not,
Okay.
yeah.
So you gotta, you just gotta cover that
Yeah.
base, otherwise.
Okay, I have
I can
stricken.
ask, well, I can still
Struck.
ask MACC with their helpline about wildlife
Yeah.
habitat.
Again, that was there, that was even in there as a question, not because I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
I said, somebody else does this in their law.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure
No,
that
it's
we
a
wanted
good-
it in ours, so.
It's a good thought. Because I do agree we should have, at least personally, I think we should have something a little bit more about wildlife habitat. I just don't know if we can make it a resource area.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
As long as it's mentioned, it gives us
Yeah.
gives us a starting point to
Yeah.
have some type of a help to it.
All right.
You said normally has to be evaluated if there's wetland fill or work in riverfront, right? Yeah, those are the two triggers, okay. Did we want to add to this one, we said accepting riverfront area and land subject to flooding? Do we want to add that to the definition? Which means there would
Yeah.
continue to be no buffer zone for floodplain?
Yeah.
Because it is something that if we become mapped floodplain and we, decide we need a further buffer, we can amend it.
Yeah.
Right. And even that floodplain is a temporary condition.
Yeah.
Really, so you can look at it and go, it's a temporary when it happens.
Yeah. Can we go back to the isolated wetland conversation for a second?
Sure.
Would it, just throwing this out there, would it make sense for us to, under our bylaw, protect all isolated vegetated wetlands, but then allow for the option of a waiver if we determine that it's in poor condition and not really beneficial to the environment? I'm just thinking for applicants, we should probably be more specific in our bylaw, in our regs, as to what's protected and what's not.
Yeah, I think most bylaws, it says like on a case-by-case basis, the commission may allow a waiver.
Yes.
Yeah, and that'll be
Yes.
easier to sell this to JQ Public too, because you're not trying to do a big grasp. You go, you know what, it's case by case and everything's different.
Yeah.
Because remember, that's part of this too, is we can write it for what we like, but you also have to
You gotta be
make
able
it
to
soft, make
defend
it
it.
soft enough
Yeah,
that that people don't feel challenged.
yeah. Because I mean, we have all country drainage in this town, and
Right.
a lot of it
Right.
that could be considered wetlands, isolated wetlands in a lot of cases, because they're just roughed out.
Right.
So in those circumstances, sure, you look at it, technically it could be an isolated wetland, but it's a drainage swale.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So yeah, as long as it's defined like that, and you put the case-by-case basis or whatever, I think that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
And again, my biggest thing is trying to service the public,
Yeah.
because they gotta look at it as, oh, it's control. No, it's defining, but a better defined so everyone knows what they're up against. Or it's not even up against, because I'm sorry, we help most people out.
And it's not guaranteeing you issue a waiver.
Right.
We won't
Right.
look at them.
Right.
Okay. There were no other definitional changes. Skip, don't say your words right away. Is there any other business before the commission?
Have we heard anything about the Maple Hill Estate CR?
No,
Can I ask Tamika to follow up on that?
of course.
Thank you.
About the what?
The Maple Hill Estates CR?
The conservation restriction?
And also maybe to send an email, for her to send an email to planning, because I think it's their condition, so.
Okay, so I want to answer a question that Joe asked on our site walk.
I have a
So,
question. Should I remember?
yeah, that's okay. Actually, I probably shouldn't have stopped sharing, but let me, come on.
Where did you guys even go?
We went to 311
Okay,
Pleasantdale
Pleasantdale.
Road.
Okay, just making sure.
This is Pleasantdale.
You know, you can just type it in top.
I can't, what's the benefit of that?
What?
Where are you? Too far. You're in the
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Brookfields.
And there's Ocam,
I'll
there's
get closer.
Rutland.
Get closer.
Because I didn't want to zoom in all the way. I really didn't. So instead I decided, wow, that's purely by accident. I got to exactly, so this is the lot under question. That's 311. But we walked up here, and I think it was on this property, Joe, is where you saw where we saw that structure that looks like it collects stormwater.
Oh, the one 20 feet off the road, 10 feet off the road?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one
that's
you were-
plenty far off. Well, it's
Isn't
more than
that
10.
Yeah,
Isn't that far up?
It's more than 10 off the road.
yeah.
Because the manhole was 5-6 feet off the road.
Maybe, yeah. It's pretty close to the edge of the road.
Right.
So I had a quick conversation with Joe today about this, and he knows all about this stormwater
Peace.
that runs underground along Pleasantdale to somewhere over here when it crosses the road and dumps near
Well, it
this
dumps
river.
into that other one.
Yeah, it dumps into this one
So it takes it on that lot and
From
down
here.
the road
Yeah,
and then across?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's piped under the road.
So the question that Joe asked is, does the town own that structure? The stone structure? The answer is no, the town does not own it.
Is it stone?
I can see CMU blocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So who does?
property
Must be
owner.
the property owner, right?
So there's no
Property.
easements or anything?
Nope.
Fun.
Now, oh, that's true, we were there when the water was running, so the water was running.
Yes. Pretty good flow.
Scott and I had been down there when the water wasn't running quite that, like it was the other day. when we
Yeah.
went there. But it was still running. I mean, it's still obviously there's something there.
Right. So Joe knows all about, has lots of drawings about that stormwater structure.
When was it installed?
It's one of the questions I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna go visit him and take a look at the records to see who did it, when it was done, when the
Well,
town
the
took
thing is,
it.
it goes under the road, in the right of way of the road, all
Yeah.
the way down.
Yeah.
All those manholes that,
Oh, yeah, those are definitely in the right of way.
So I suspect the town did it, but we're not gonna know till we.
Yeah.
Back
Right.
in the day when easements didn't
It's
matter.
that's right, it's probably it's a major structure set.
Yeah.
And you're going, Why there? It's odd.
I'll hit that this weekend.
Yeah. Don't fall in.
And I did not see,
I've done my fair share of falling in.
I did not see a lot of obvious sign of stormwater running along the road at all. In fact, everything's running behind the stone wall, such as it does. You know, there are little swales to each of these river streams. And in fact, this one has more inflows than are mapped right here. Jared and I saw that. But, just more information, more things we should at least be aware of. And there is a sewer easement up this. See this little access drive? There's an easement on each of these two properties. So and in fact it's marked as road. I did not see, I take it back, it's this one that has the two easements, right across that wetland. And this is the one that they're driving on right now, right? This is where they're getting access for the trees, right?
The logging road?
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
walk by, I think it's the one further north.
Yeah.
Not that one, but go north.
This
That
one?
I'm pretty sure it's that
No
one.
way, this was more than that distance
No, no,
away.
no,
No.
We didn't walk
Yeah,
that far.
yeah.
yeah, that's,
Is it next to the structure?
Yes.
Right next?
Yeah,
Then-
pretty close.
Then it would
That's
be
really
down,
close.
wouldn't it?
A little bit, but just a little bit south of that north logging road,
Yep.
if that makes any sense.
All right. That's all I wanted to say to answer the question that we
Point
had.
on here, the structure was like right about there-ish,
Okay.
from what I remember.
thank you for your consideration.
323.
All right. I assume there's nothing else, so Skip?
What? Motion to close?
Second?
Wait, close?
Adjourn.
Adjourn?
Adjourn, close, adjourn. We're closing the
Just
door.
clarifying.
Okay. Roll call.
Don't go aye.
Langer and I.
Clock eye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Dan's eye.
Great eye. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.